Welcome back to the League One review, and we're looking into all the fixtures from Tuesday's night's midweek madness in the EFL. And there's been a range of different performances over the course of the last 24 hours. You've seen some teams who are potentially playoff contenders getting absolutely battered. You've seen other playoff contenders going head to head and not finding a way past each other. We're going to look into the 6 key games in this video, and if that is something which you think you're going to enjoy, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that like button to help push this video to brand new audiences. So shall we get straight into it? First off then, we're looking at Barnsley versus Wigan Wanderers, which was a really big game at Oakwell last night. And if you go back to my preview, it's a game where both teams are sitting in and around those playoff positions. They're really close to each other in the table, and it's one of those where you have the opportunity to get one up on one of your contenders. And in this game, as you can see, it ended in a 2-2 draw. Humphreys and Roberts scoring for Barnsley, Lubala and Kone scoring for Wigan Wanderers. It was a late saviour for a point for Barnsley, but Wigan Wanderers would have thought they won it in the 85th minute. Now, if we do just look at the basic numbers behind the performance, I think it's a very even game. They're matching each other on the possession percentages. Expected goals isn't that much different, 1.12 to 1.56. There's 17 total shots for Barnsley, 13 for Wigan Wanderers. 1 big chance for Barnsley and 2 for that of Wigan Wanderers. Now, if we look at the two lineups, I think it's very impressive to see the likes of Connell and Roberts picking up really good performances. Even Donovan Pines, although he had to come off in the 54th minute. You look over to the Wigan Wanderers side, and I don't look at this side and think it's an unbelievable team. I think they've got some good players in there, but the likes of Sadler and Lubala, and then obviously the bench players of Richard Kone coming on and picking up a really good goal to help seal a point in this game. And I think when you look at both sides, you look at the difference in quality for both teams. I think Barnsley have probably the better squad on the whole, and it's just one of those for me where I think both teams have done really well in this game. If we look a little bit deeper into the statistics and the shot maps and things like that, you can see both teams are having shots in really good areas, and I think it shows why they are both in the division that they are in. You obviously look a little bit further down, 5 shots on target to 3. That's fairly decent. 8 blocked shots to 6. It shows that both defences are putting themselves on the line. Now, if we do go and look at the league table, they're still sitting 7th and 8th respectively, 15 points for Barnsley, 14 for Wigan Wanderers, and it's going to be interesting to see how this league shakes out. Obviously, we're only on round 9. There's 37 games left to go. It's going to be very interesting. Let me know your thoughts on this one down in the comments. I think Barnsley have done excellent so far this season. So have Wigan. They're obviously sitting there in that playoff contention, and you look at a win for Barnsley could take them all the way up to second place. A win for Wigan could take them also into second place. So they're in a really good position at this point of the season. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Barnsley fans, Wigan fans, what are you expecting out of the rest of this campaign? Next up then, we head to St Andrews in a battle of the relegated teams. Birmingham City faced Huddersfield Town, and Birmingham City came away victors, and I don't think that's a big surprise. I think Birmingham City are probably going to go on a really good winning run. I think they're 6 in a row in the league now, maybe 7 after this one, and they've been really good. And I don't even think they've hit second gear yet. I think there's a long way to go for this Birmingham City team. And Huddersfield are on a real dip in form across all competitions. And we just look at the numbers behind this one. It's 70% possession for Birmingham to 30% for Huddersfield. 2.34 XG to 0.47. 20 shots to 7. 6 big chances to 0. Now, during midweek, Christian Bielik did an interview where he said that they aren't a League One team, they're a Championship calibre team, and I think it's really hard to dispute that fact that Christian Bielik said. I think they're a really good team, Birmingham City. I think if you look at the lineups and the value of the lineup as well, it's an unbelievable team. Stanisfield picking up an assist, Alfie May picking up the goal. Like, that team, in my opinion, would fit in the Championship with no shadow of a doubt. You look at the Huddersfield team, and I'm not saying that they don't have some championship quality players, but they're certainly not a championship quality team as we're sitting here today. You look at even the players coming off the bench. Lyndon Dykes was a championship player not too long ago, and you even look at some of the other players, Mark Leonard, Ben Davis, Bailey Peacock Farrell, really, really good performers. And Huddersfield and Michael Duff just didn't seem to have an answer. If we look at the league table, it puts Birmingham now 5 points clear at the top of the table. Huddersfield drop now to 15th. It's 4 defeats in a row for them, and it's been a disappointing run for Huddersfield, and it's been probably the best run of the season for Birmingham City. It's going to be interesting to see how Birmingham City keep it up. Obviously, they've got a massive squad with an abundance of talent. Now, if you look at the shot maps here, I don't even think Birmingham City are having shots in sort of prime areas. Don't get me wrong, they've got this cluster here in the middle of the pitch, but you've also got this cluster around the edge of the box, which aren't necessarily in the greatest position, but they are by far, in my opinion, the best team in League One. If they don't come away as champions this season, I'll be very, very disappointed in what happens there. Obviously, injuries aside, I think they've got a really good squad, and I think Huddersfield also have a good squad, and I think it shows just what a £15-20 million striker can do. Yes, Jay Stansfield didn't score in this one, but he picked up an assist, put in a really, really good performance with some really nice opportunities for himself. 2 chances created, 0.87 XG and XA. It's one of those for me where he's just going to get better and better as the season goes on, and this season is going to be absolutely amazing for Jay Stansfield as he heads into a championship campaign. But we see Birmingham City lead the table. What happened next? 2 more playoff contenders go head-to-head as Lincoln City stop Steve Bruce's run of winning games. It's a 1-1 draw for Blackpool and Lincoln City. Kyle Joseph scoring in the 74th minute, with Hamer scoring in the 95th after a red card in the 70th for Lincoln City. If we do look at the basic numbers behind the game, I think Blackpool will be very disappointed not to come away with all 3 points, dominating possession, which we've seen a lot against Lincoln City this season, is that they like to sit off, hit teams on the counter, hit teams on the break, and in this game they've done it perfectly to pick up a point. 1.81 XG to 0.84, 14 shots to 9, 1 big chance to 0. It's a really interesting game to look at, this one. If you look at the 2 lineups, I think both teams are really good teams for this division. I think Steve Bruce has brought a new lease of life to this Blackpool team, and I think obviously we know the job that Skubala's done over the last 12 months in this job with Lincoln City. They're finding themselves in and around those playoff positions again this season as we just look at the players coming off the bench. Ashley Fletcher picking up an assist, Tom Bayliss and Tom Hamer scoring and assisting off the bench, which is exactly what you want. If we look now at the league table, Blackpool are sitting in 6th position on 15 points. Lincoln City are sitting in 4th on 15 points as well. It's really close at the top at the moment. I think realistically, I think the title spot is going to be Birmingham's to lose. Obviously at the moment, 8 games unbeaten in this campaign. Everyone else has lost. And it's one of those for me where I think everyone's battling out for that second automatic promotion place in these playoff positions, and I think these 2 teams are going to be right in the fight. Obviously, if we look at the shot map for Blackpool, it's absolutely unbelievable. Only 3 shots outside the area, really good positions for shooting, and it's one of those for me where I think Blackpool are only going to get better this season, and especially under the stewardship of Steve Bruce. Lincoln City obviously have their own agenda this season as well. They're currently sitting 4th. They're 5 unbeaten now in their previous 5 games, as are Blackpool. It's going to be interesting to see how this one transpires over the course of the campaign. I think both teams have done excellently. Now, we've spoke about Bolton Wanderers at length over the course of the last few weeks, and it felt as if Ian Evatt was coming under pressure, and they have really, really turned it around. I think this is now 3 wins in a row for Bolton Wanderers, and they've had an abundance of really good games in there as well. And you look at it, it's a 4-2 win over Northampton Town. Yes, some people are going to look at it and go, Northampton Town, they're not a great team. But if we look at the league table just a second and look at where the 2 sides are sitting, if you take the 3 points off Bolton, they were really, really close together. And yes, Bolton have had a really difficult start to this campaign, but they're really turning it around now. Have they found their formula? And you look at the goals coming from McAtee, Thomason, Toyle and Dion Charles. But the disappointing fact here is they conceded twice in added time, and I'm sure that's something which Ian Evatt will want to cut out. Obviously, they conceded twice against Reading as well, which sort of nearly put them in a difficult position. But it's one of those, we look into the numbers behind the game. Possession-wise, it's a very, very even one, but Bolton Wanderers showing their quality. 1.97 xG to 0.46, 10 shots to 14, one big chance to 5. I think this Bolton Wanderers side is an unbelievable team in my opinion. Like, I'm not going to say that it's of the quality of that of Birmingham City, but the likes of Thomason, Sheehan, Dempsey, McAtee, Collins, really, really good players. I'd have taken Collins at Derby for this season. I'd have taken Sheehan. I made a video about him a few months ago. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't rate Santos as high as some of the Bolton fans do, but I know that he is a good League One player. Obviously, Baxter's unbelievable as well. You look at the bench as well, bringing on Dion Charles, Adebayo, Randall Williams, Scott Arfield. It's just a different level for Bolton Wanderers this season. And obviously, as we mentioned a few moments ago, it takes them now up to 11th position. They're just 2 points out of those playoff positions as they face up against Shrewsbury this weekend. We look at Northampton Town as well, dropping ever closer to that relegation zone, getting closer to Crawley, just a point in it now. It's going to be a really interesting one across the course of this season, and I think Bolton Wanderers have done excellently to turn their form around, because I think we spoke about it a couple of previews ago where I just felt like Bolton Wanderers were in need of a change, and it's really good to see that Evatt's been able to turn it around. I think as a Derby County fan, I can really feel for the Bolton Wanderers fans, because Derby County had this last season and we started off really poorly, and then all of a sudden it just clicked into gear and we just flew. And it looks like that's what's happening with Bolton Wanderers. It's going to be interesting to see how long they can keep up the form for. Obviously, I think I mentioned it a minute ago, I think they face up against Shrewsbury Town this weekend, which will be a very interesting one, and one where they're going to look to keep up their form. They're currently sitting 11th in the league table. Are they going to be able to find their way into the playoffs before the end of the weekend? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We're working really hard now to hit 1.4 thousand subscribers, and I know that you can help me by smashing that big red button and turning on that notification bell. Make sure you hit that like button as well to help push this video to the rest of the League One audience, because I think it's very interesting what's going on in League One so far this season. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments on your team and the division so far. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next part of this video. And we head to a bit of a different one. It's not necessarily a promotion fight. It's not really a mid-table fight, really, when you look at where Burton Albion is sitting in the division. But it's a disappointing performance for Burton Albion, and Reading putting on a really, really good show. I thought this was an excellent opportunity for Burton Albion to pick up all 3 points. Obviously, the off-field problems that Reading have got going on, and the tension that can cause. But it seems as if Reading have been able to get the better of Burton Albion, and I think it's really disappointing looking at Burton Albion. I think you look at the quantity of players that they brought in over the summer, and some of them are really good, some of them, on the other hand, are not. And it's one of those for me where I think a big problem that they've faced over recent weeks is obviously the loss of Billy Bowden, obviously a really, really good player for them. I think he scored 3 goals or 4 goals in quick succession and then picked up that injury, which has kept him out for a fair whack. And you look at this one, and obviously, sort of when you look at the numbers, it looks like a really, really close performance. And you look at the XG, it's 0.58 to 0.57. It's 15 shots to 7, 2 big chances for Burton. But the problem is, you're not having those really good opportunities. And you look at the two sides here, obviously the Reading side and the Burton Albion side. And I don't necessarily think there's a great deal in quality between the two sides. I think Reading have some unbelievable players. You look at the likes of Wing, you look at Nibbs, Smith, Campbell, really, really good performers. And you look at this Burton side, and it's not like it's got no quality. Williams, really, really good player. You look at Love, he's had some good performances over recent weeks. You go onto the bench and you look at Orsi coming off the bench, Melee coming off the bench, and they've got some really good players. Both of these teams do. And for me, I'm just really disappointed with what we're seeing from Burton Albion. Yes, there's been a change in style of play. There's been a massive shift at the club over the last few months, but it's just not being good enough on the pitch, and that is what matters. It doesn't matter how much money you pump into something if you're going to be sitting in the relegation zone in League Two, and that is what Burton Albion are doing. They're now 4 points away from safety. They face up against Bristol Rovers this weekend, and Bristol Rovers haven't been in the best of form, but obviously picked up a win last night. And Burton Albion, 3 losses in a row. They've not won a game this season. It's really disappointing. Reading, their 3rd win in 5 games. They're off the back of back-to-back wins as well. Just 2 points off the playoffs. And I don't think Reading have had a great start to the season. Now, the points on the board show a different matter, but they're only 2 points away from the playoffs. It just shows how close the table is at this stage of the season, and I do think it's something which obviously the Burton Albion fans should keep in their heads when they're looking at the league table, is it can so quickly just flip the script, and you can so quickly just climb up the table. Like, you look at, if we just go to Bolton Wanderers, 3 wins in a row for them, and they've gone from down here 18th, 19th place all the way up to 11th. Reading, back-to-back wins, that's 6 points. That's taken them from round here all the way up. And it's going to be interesting to see how this one transpires. I'm really disappointed in Burton Albion. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Finally then, we go to Wigan Athletic as they hosted Peterborough United. Now, I think we're seeing again Peterborough's lack of consistency and lack of quality in a sense, because Wigan score 3 off 39% possession and 61% for Peterborough. Obviously, Taylor picking up 2, McManaman picking up the other 1. And it's one of those for me where Peterborough are probably the better side in this game. And I think obviously creating the better chances, having more opportunities, but just unable to finish their dinner. And I think the big thing with Peterborough is they've lost a lot of quality this summer, and they're still finding their way, and they keep having performances where you think, have they found the way? Have they found the route? And then they have another game where they just slump a little bit. And I think this is one of those slump games. It's a really good performance for Wigan. And I think you look at, obviously, Taylor picking up a double. You look at the likes of Asgard, Smith playing really well. You look at, obviously, Chambers putting in a really, really good performance. You're looking at off the bench. You've got McManaman picking up a goal. And I think you even look at the bench for Peterborough. And I personally think, obviously we're only at round 9. A lot can change over the course of the next few months. But I think right now, Peterborough are probably sort of 50-50 on whether they're going to be in contention for the playoffs this season. It's back-to-back defeats for them as they hit their 9th game of the season. Wigan, 5 unbeaten, 2 wins, 3 draws. They found themselves now in 14th. Peterborough in 16th. It's more of a mid-table clash, this one, but it's what you'd consider a playoff contender, putting in a really, really poor performance. Now, obviously, you lot can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I know I have a fair few Peterborough fans, but I'm just really disappointed with what's going on at Peterborough. Obviously, there might be underlying factors which I don't know about, so obviously let me know down in the comments. I know there's a couple of injuries. I think I've seen, is it Con Clark? I think he's had to have surgery. So it's one of those where you're missing a lot of quality. Obviously, losing Edwards, losing Knight, Burrows, you've obviously lost Mason Clark in the summer. Johnson Clark-Harris, who I know didn't play much last year, was still a quality option to bring off the bench. And it's just really disappointing for League One and for Peterborough to be losing out in the way that they are doing right now. Now, if we just take a look at the league table after this midweek round of fixtures, Birmingham lead the way on 22. Wrexham and Mansfield are equal on 17. Mansfield have that game in hand. They could find themselves on 20. 3 points clear of Wrexham after that. Lincoln City on 15 with Stockport, Blackpool and Barnsley, but Stockport and Lincoln have a game in hand. You've then got Wycombe Wanderers and Stevenage sitting on 14. Wycombe have a game in hand on Stevenage. Then you've got Exeter, you've got Bolton, Reading, Charlton sitting on 13. Exeter, Bolton and Reading all have a game in hand. You've then got Wigan and Huddersfield on 12 points. You've got Peterborough on 11. You've got Rotherham and Bristol on 10. Obviously Rotherham picking up a good win last night. Bristol Rovers as well picking up a really, really good win. You've then got Northampton Town and Leyton Orient on 8. Northampton have a game in hand on those ahead and could find themselves up up into 16th position after that game. You've then got Crawley Town on 7 after their 4th defeat in 5 games. It's really disappointing for them. You've then got Burton Albion on 4 with Shrewsbury Town. 3 defeats in a row for Burton Albion, 4 defeats in 5 for Shrewsbury, and then Cambridge United sitting at the bottom with a game in hand, but they are 7 defeats for the season. It's really disappointing for some of the teams. It's really exciting for those of Birmingham City persuasion. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. It's going to be really interesting to see how this one finishes out. So there we have all the fixtures for League One. We've got a look at the league table. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in my next video. Find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula One and football weekend.